June 19th, 2021, Gyovanny Arzuaga, along with his girlfriend Yasmin Perez and their two friends, were traveling down the 3200 block of West Division in Humboldt Park, Chicago. They were enjoying the Puerto Rican Day Parade on Chicago's northwest side. Unfortunately, as Gyovanny was driving, he accidentally crashed his vehicle into a parked car. The ensuing events that took place were earth-shattering and claimed the lives of the young couple in an unexpected and completely unnecessary fashion. 34-year-old Latin Kings gang member Anthony Lorenzi opened fire on the young couple, killing Gyovanny Arzuaga, who had accidentally discharged his firearm and police believe might have accidentally actually shot and killed his girlfriend Yasmin Perez. Within 45 minutes of the shooting, Anthony Lorenzi had boarded a plane and was on his way to Los Angeles, California.
New at 10, Chicago police believe cell phone video of a merciless murder and shooting will help them catch the suspects. But tonight, CBS 2 political investigator Dana Kozlov learned one of those videos of those crimes posted on social media came straight from a city camera, one she says should have never been made public.
There is outrage over the cold-blooded murder of 24-year-old Gyovanny Arzuaga and the shooting of his girlfriend Yasmin Perez, both gunned down during a post-Puerto Rican parade celebration in Humboldt Park.
You see that second suspect clearly just holding a gun, shooting him in the head, almost execution style.
But this ShotSpotter cam footage was released without the city or Chicago Police Department's permission, raising questions about who accessed it and then recorded it on a cell phone before posting it on the web. A police department spokesperson says detectives here at Area 5 are handling this investigation. But when I asked about that pod cam video from the ShotSpotters, sources telling us again that it was indeed city video footage, a spokesperson would only say they did not release the video, so they can't confirm any details. However, a spokesperson for the city's Office of Emergency Management and Communications confirms it's the subject of an investigation, but did not provide any more details.
In our city, and so many individuals stood around and seemingly...
A vigil is being held for a couple who was shot and killed after the Puerto Rican Day Parade Saturday. This is Chicago police look for the people who attacked them.
Let's go to WGN's Patrick Elwood. He's live in Humboldt Park this afternoon with more on that story. Patrick.
Lourdes and Ray, good evening to you. Family and friends are starting to gather here. I'm going to step out of frame so you get a better look at what is ostensibly a makeshift memorial that has taken root. Tonight's vigil starting at 6 o'clock, coming only hours after 23-year-old Yasmin Perez died this morning at Stroger Hospital. It's 2 days after she was shot here at this intersection at Humboldt Park. Her boyfriend and the father of their two children died that night. Now, city cameras indicators, Yasmin was behind the wheel. 24-year-old Gyovanny her out, and then she was shot in the neck. Gyovanny trying to help her. He's seen kneeling over her, and then he is shot by a second suspect, execution style. The two were in the area, and one of his best friends out here telling me it's just all too much to take.
We're just really upset and we're angry. At first, I didn't really believe it. I was numb. But it's been hitting me these past couple of days. Justice will be served. Karma, will come around for everyone eventually.
Amen. On that subject of karma will be served, the mayor is paying a special attention to what happened out here and calling this crime horrific in nature, and says that those suspects will be hunted until they are found and charged. Vigil begins at 6 p.m. We'll give you an update in the 6 o'clock hour. For now, in the Humboldt Park neighborhood, Patrick Elwood, WGN News. Ray and Lourdes, back to you in the studio.
Okay, Patrick Elwood live for us this afternoon. Thank you.
Crews killed. Today, Chicago police announced an arrest for the murder of a man at last month's Puerto Rican Day Parade.
WGN's Rob Sneed live at police headquarters with the latest. Rob?
Yeah, good evening to you both. Just within the last 15 seconds, police sent me the mugshot of that man, Anthony Lorenzi, and you can see him right here. They say that authorities made that arrest in San Diego. He was arrested at a parking lot at an apartment complex, and right now he is charged with first-degree murder.
I hope this arrest brings at least some measure of relief to the families of this young couple who left behind two small children.
The shooting happened in Humboldt Park after the Puerto Rican Day Parade on West Division Street. Chicago Police Superintendent David Brown on Saturday said Anthony Lorenzi was arrested Friday in San Diego for killing the 24-year-old.
CPD detectives developed information that Lorenzi had fled to San Diego the morning after the murders and quickly secured an arrest warrant for Lorenzi, at which point the U.S. Marshal Service led the fugitive investigation thereafter.
And specifically for this incident, the community really stepped up and gave us several tips on who this defendant was, and that's why we were able to identify him so quickly.
Investigators say that's thanks to the San Diego Fugitives Task Force United States Marshal Services. Lorenzi has 26 felony arrests and 7 convictions, including burglary in 2006, unauthorized use of a weapon by a felon in 2010, and aggravated fleeing and eluding in 2016.
That aggravated fleeing and eluding incident is his most recent felony conviction, and it stemmed from an incident in which he and a co-defendant were committing an armed vehicular invasion of a victim that took place at 3259 West Cortez.
Arzuaga's partner, 23-year-old Yasmin Perez, was also shot, but investigators say that shot came from inside of the car.
Based upon the totality of all the evidence that we looked at, it appears that that gunshot wound comes from inside the vehicle that causes the gunshot wound to her neck. So more than likely, and we still have to reconcile a gun, but more than likely it came from inside the vehicle and someone inside the vehicle caused that wound to her neck.
Authorities tell us that marshals are in the process of bringing Lorenzi back from San Diego as we speak. They also say that they believe they have other persons of interest. Reporting live at CPD headquarters, Rob Sneed, WG.
On July 9, 2021 at 7:10 p.m., the U.S. Marshal Service placed Anthony Lorenzi in custody in San Diego, California for the murder of Gyovanny Arzuaga during last month's Puerto Rican Day festivities in Humboldt Park. Through the course of their investigation, Area 4 homicide detective with Chicago Police Department identified Lorenzi, a convicted felon with 26 adult arrests, as the offender who brazenly committed the murder on June 19th in front of dozens of people. Law enforcement partners are unapologetic advocates for the victims of crime. I hope this arrest brings at least some measure of relief to the families of this young couple who left behind two small children. CPD detectives developed information that Lorenzi had fled to San Diego the morning after the murders and quickly secured an arrest warrant for Lorenzi, at which point the U.S. Marshal Service led the fugitive investigation thereafter. The U.S. Marshals developed information as to Lorenzi's location in San Diego, and yesterday, as I mentioned earlier, the U.S. Marshals conducted surveillance and located Lorenzi and placed him in custody. Lorenzi has 26 adult felony arrests. He is a convicted felon. He has 7 convictions. He has felony convictions for burglary in 2006, UUW, that's unauthorized use of a weapon by a felon in 2010, and aggravated fleeing and eluding in 2016. That aggravated fleeing and eluding incident is his most recent felony conviction, and it stemmed from an incident in which he and a co-defendant were committing an armed vehicular invasion of a victim that took place at 3259 West Cortez. That location of the incident is less than 2 blocks from the location where Gyovanny Arzuaga and Yasmin Perez were murdered. Lorenzi awaits extradition proceedings for his return to Illinois to face charges of murder in the first degree. I'll turn over more details of the investigation and how we identified Lorenzi to Chief of Detectives Brendan, who will then be followed U.S. Marshals Commander Grimaldo on how we were able to locate him in San Diego. Brendan.
Thanks, Superintendent. I just want to thank everybody who was part of this investigation. That's why we were able to identify him quickly. So, I know there was a video out there of this incident. I was on the 19th of June, just after 9 p.m. at night at 251 West Division, when the were in a vehicle and in a minor accident with a car that was ahead of them. Right after the traffic, the female struck in the neck, and then when the victim comes out, you see the video basically execution style, shoot the victim in the head, and then flee the scene. The superintendent mentioned the detectives way, and we were, like I said, we're using a lot of video, a lot of technology, and then several tips flooded in right away on the identity of this offender. And
breaking news tonight, Chicago police announced an arrest in the murders of a young couple attacked while celebrating at last month's Puerto Rican People's Parade. Good evening, I'm Dave Savini. Investigators went all the way to California to make that arrest. CBS 2's Marissa Parra has been digging into this. She joins us live from Humboldt Park. Marissa.
You can still see the remnants of that memorial that went up in the days that followed that brutal attack. And now, almost a month later, Lorenzi was taken into custody nearly 2,000 miles away from here in San Diego. Nearly a month after the brutal Puerto Rican Day parade attack that left 2 Chicago parents dead, their children orphaned, Chicago police announced the arrest of 34-year-old Anthony Lorenzi, 4-year-old Gyovanny Arzuaga. The mother of his children, Yasmin Perez, died from her wounds just days later. The calls for justice swiftly followed.
Oh my God, they need to catch him.
Through the course of their investigation,
This weekend, police revealed a tragic detail, that the bullet that would end up killing Perez might have come from Arzuaga, saying evidence shows he, quote, more than likely accidentally discharged his weapon in the frenzy before he was shot himself just moments later. Through videos like this one, tips and technology, police were led to Lorenzi, who they say fled from Chicago to San Diego the very next morning. And through collaboration with U.S. Marshals, Lorenzi was arrested Friday evening. Lorenzi faces a first-degree murder charge and extradition from California to Illinois.
Go to great lengths to bring you to justice for these victims and their families.
Now, as for the motivation, I've received a lot of questions about whether this will be considered a hate crime. I asked police about that. They said there's simply no evidence to show that this was motivated or targeted towards a race. Now, another question we're getting a lot is whether this was gang related. We also asked police about that. They didn't really give a direct yes or no, simply stating that they have not had a chance to interview Lorenzi themselves directly, and stating once again they have no confirmed motive. Reporting live from Humboldt Park, Marissa Parra, CBS.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back. Another episode of Green Lit Gang TV. I really appreciate you guys checking out the channel. Appreciate all the love. Appreciate all the subscribers, the views. It means a lot, you guys. Really quick before we jump into this, I really want to know if you guys are interested in me doing merch. We're really heavily considering doing hoodies, doing shirts. So just, if you take 5 seconds, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Give me some ideas. I would love to hear back from you guys, because at the end of the day, this is about you guys, and I want to know what you guys think. So we're going to be going to June 19th, 2021. And this story was pretty sad. Actually watching it, reading about what actually happened, it was totally unnecessary and did not need to happen. Assistant Cook County State's Attorney James Murphy detailed a chaotic scene that erupted that evening in the Humboldt Park area of Chicago in the 3200 block of West Division. This is during a Puerto Rican Pride event, a Puerto Rican Day parade. Gyovanny Arzuaga, along with his girlfriend Yasmin Perez and their 2 friends, were cruising down 3200 block of West Division. Gyovanny accidentally crashes his vehicle into a parked car. And according to the driver, the owner of that parked car, he saw the collision. So his car's parked, he sees the collision. He approaches Gyovanny, and basically without hesitation, he begins hitting Gyovanny Arzuaga. As this is happening, another group of men, they turned out to be Latin Kings, they'd been standing in the area for hours, flashing gang signs at passing motorists, began moving toward Gyovanny Arzuaga's car. Now, Anthony Lorenzi, a known member of the Latin Kings and a second currently uncharged defendant, they were in that group, according to, State's Attorney James Murphy. They began trying to pull Arzuaga from the car. Yasmin Perez attempts to intervene, but as she did so, a gunshot was fired and hit her in the throat. According to Murphy, and this is where it's really sad and tragic, according to Murphy, Gyovanny Arzuaga is the one that actually accidentally fired his car fired his weapon, which is from his own .40 caliber handgun, and accidentally struck and killed his own girlfriend. Realizing what happened, Gyovanny Arzuaga fell to the ground and hunched over Yasmin Perez to try and protect her. Murphy said, and as he did so, Anthony Lorenzi allegedly pointed a handgun at Arzuaga and fired several shots at him. And unfortunately, the city's cameras caught all this, and like they said, those videos got released. They should have never been released. It basically shows the execution of Arzuaga. Gyovanny Arzuaga struck multiple times. He's pronounced dead. Perez had a bullet lodged in her spine. She died 3 days later. So I misspoke a few seconds ago. I'm sorry. She didn't die right away, but unfortunately, it's kind of like she did. 3 days later, she does pass from that shooting of her boyfriend's .40 caliber gun. Investigators found 4 9mm shell casings, 4 .380 caliber shell casings, and 2 .40 caliber casings at the scene. So the .40 caliber, remember, is Gyovanny Arzuaga's gun, the victim in this case. The shooting was captured on multiple surveillance cameras, Murphy said, and some footage of the shooting quickly made its way online. Lorenzi and the other uncharged defendant, who also allegedly fired shots at the victims, fled the scene on foot after the shooting. According to Murphy, Lorenzi bought an American Airlines flight ticket to San Diego 45 minutes after the shooting and departed the following morning. Lorenzi's attorney, Michael Oppenheimer, claimed that his client did this because, quote, he was terrified that he would be arrested because he is a felon. Well, duh, you're going to get arrested because you're a felon. And no, you're not getting arrested because you're a felon. You're being arrested because you just shot and murdered people. That's why you're going to get arrested. So, and it's just like, you just kind of roll your eyes. He's his lawyer. He's doing what he's supposed to do. So, whatever. But this part, okay, I'm going to read you this. Lorenzi's attorney argues that he acted in self-defense and that if his client was a police officer, he would have been justified in shooting Arzuaga, who apparently fired the first shot that fatally wounded Perez. Well, you guys are all trying to rip him out of his car. So the person whose car he hits comes up, begins hitting him. These Latin Kings, which it states they'd been on the corner throwing up gang signs, approach the car. Okay, Anthony, why are you going up to the car? It had nothing to do with you. It wasn't your car that got hit. Why are you approaching the car? Don't tell me that you were acting in self-defense. You went over there to do something. You went over there to cause problems, and you definitely caused problems. He further claimed, and this is his lawyer, right? His lawyer continues to go on, and it's like, I'm sorry, guys, but this, almost did kind of piss me off. He further claimed that if Gyovanny had survived, he would have faced some sort of homicide charge for the death of his girlfriend. And that very well may be true. To be honest, I still feel like it would have got pled down to maybe like a felony, like a discharge of a firearm, unlawful discharge of a firearm or something like that. But State's Attorney Murphy said Lorenzi had, quote, no business getting involved. Thank you. In this incident at all, and argued that even if Lorenzi had heard a gunshot first at the time he allegedly fired the fatal shots, Gyovanny Arzuaga was shielding Perez and posed no threat because, like they said, he's laying on top of his dying girlfriend, who he realized he accidentally shot. Quote, this defendant is behind and to the side of Gyovanny Arzuaga when he pulls out his own gun and unloads it directly into the victim, Murphy said. Quote, this was anger. Those shots the defendant fired were fired out of anger. Half a country away from where a couple was dragged out of their car and shot to death by a gang of men, a man has been arrested in connection with their heinous murder. Anthony Lorenzi, 34 years old, was arrested in Chula Vista, California on Friday by U.S. Marshals, according to a press release. They tracked him down after they got information that he had, quote, fled to Southern California. Authorities arrested him at an intersection. He was expected to be extradited to Illinois, and I know so many of you in the last video were giving me a lot of crap because I said Illinois with the S at the end, so I apologize. I swear to God I was getting comments left and right. Illinois, okay, for those of you that were on me about it the last time, where he will be charged with first-degree murder for the shooting death of Gyovanny Arzuaga. Really sad, guys. These are parents. These are, just a young couple that hit a parked car. I mean, could you imagine? And that's kind of my whole thing is could you just imagine this happening to you or your loved ones? They have young children. They were a young couple. A friend stated that basically with Yasmin and Gyovanny, it was love at first sight. They met each other at a party and, quote, it was over from there. Now, going back to Anthony Lorenzi, apparently he'd been arrested over 30 times. He had over 7 felony convictions. So this guy's is what you call a career criminal. And within 45 minutes, he's on a plane to California. So he knew what he did. He knew what he was getting into. There's no, for me, this is kind of a black and white thing. And again, listen, I try not to give my opinion too much. It's just this story hit home a little bit harder because it's like, God, you got this young couple. The guy hits a car on accident. I can understand the driver being mad. I can understand even ripping open, Giovanni's door, and, what the hell? And if he popped off to you, yeah, maybe you get into a fight. But for those guys to come over, those Latin Kings gang members, and for me, the really telling thing about this was that it said Anthony Lorenzi and his gang were all there throwing up gang signs for hours before. That means you are looking for trouble. And the first thing that happens, the first little drama that pops off, you put yourself into the situation and end up killing somebody over it. And it's just horrible. Horrible. So anyway, just wanted to bring this other video to you guys. I'm doing research for the next video. Really appreciate you guys checking out the channel. Until next time, peace.